Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
And now, comics.
Alright, so what is up with this IDW sales thing?
So it looks like IDW is trying to sell at least 25 million in stock to fund like projects and pay creditors, which I'm not really sure like what IDW is like worth at that moment. But I know that there's been like a lot of rumblings of them being in like kind of, not great financial shape for a while.
I feel like that's been for like a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, IDW is mostly known as the license company. It's like they own licenses for a lot of the Disney stuff, Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of game stuff, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Dredd.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. I'm like going through it now. Sonic, ROM, Star Trek. I
remember
TMNT.
they ended up saving Sonic from Archie.
But it's like I can't imagine like a lot of these licenses being cheap.
Yeah, especially I imagine Star Trek, TMNT.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I'm looking through this article, and it looks like this would be like 20-ish% of the company.
It's like I imagine like the TMNT comics are doing like very well for them, because Eastman is still like on the TMNT brand. There's a TMNT cartoon coming out. So you always get kids coming into shops like looking for TMNT comics. The Transformers stuff I've always heard is great. That's like kind of like the one license book I always hear people talking about. But it's like I can't imagine like comics like ROM like selling well. Or selling enough to where it's like worth the price of the brand.
Well, the only thing I know about Rom is, wasn't he like originally sort of a Marvel character?
He was a toy character that Marvel had a license for, and then Marvel created basically like the entire backstory for Rom. And then, like, they lost the license, and then the ROM toy the license went back to the toy company.
Oh, so it's like the same thing with Transformers, basically.
But the toy licensors don't own anything that Marvel created for ROM. All they own is ROM and the Diaries, which are like the bad guys that ROM fight. Which is kind of like when the Transformers stuff happened, and then they created Death's Head for the Transformers comics, and then when the Transformers comics left, they still kept Death's Head. But Death's Head now like something different.
Mm-hmm.
He's a robot, but not like a Transformer.
Yeah, I'm like reading through this article, man. They have had some real issues over the last like 2 years.
Yeah. Well, like
they have a sexual harassment lawsuit against.
Yeah, like they have that Winona Earp show that's still going on. I imagine. It's like 3 seasons in, so I imagine that show must be doing like somewhat well for them. But they were like trying to get like a TV show for V-Wars up, and I'm just like, when it's like one of your big exclusive creator-owned books is, I don't know, V-Wars, which just seems like another vampire book. Like I don't know, man. Like they're big. Like they do have the license for Lock and Key. Like that is probably the biggest homegrown exclusive IDW book that they own. But they need like 5 more Lock and Keys, because like 30 Days of Night was big, 15 years ago at this point. But I don't know what the worth of 30 Days of Night as a brand is now. But I think like probably like their biggest thing that they have like right now is the Black Crown stuff. That's like the Shelley Bond curated series at IDW, and they have like a bunch of really cool like conceptual books there, like Kid Lobotomy and Assassinistas and Punks Out Dead and Euthonauts, and all that stuff seems like really cool brand stuff that you can move to like a sci-fi channel or something. Did everyone go?
No, we're still here.
Okay, sorry. Hey, man.
So, any recent comics anyone has read lately? New comic day.
Sorry, my unit decided to just drop. So, where were you guys? Because I was talking for a while before I noticed that.
Like a minute or two of dead air. Yeah.
Oh, it keeps recording, you guys know.
Well,
It doesn't-
I basically said my piece on like the IDW thing, and then it was about a minute of dead silence.
Yeah, all I was gonna say when I was talking to nobody was like, yeah, I'm not sure like if someone was gonna pick them up, like you were saying, like what would they actually be picking up? I'm sure like if the price gets cheap enough, like one of the big dogs will scoop them up, or maybe even like a medium guy. But I also don't see why. Unless they like get like a really good deal, but like,
Yeah, I mean,
what original IP are they really getting?
they're getting Black Crown, and that's about it. I think that's like the best licensing that they have like right now. Like Lock and Key, I think that like is that Lock and Key show happening at Hulu?
Yeah, I mentioned that it's in that's current that's already in the works.
So that has
that they're in post production on V Wars in October something.
I mean, that's cool if they can get V Wars off the ground.
Mhm.
But I think the real like kind of like diamond in the rough in this like entire thing, if someone were to like kind of do stuff with it, is the Black Crown stuff.
I would
they
I would not be surprised if another company outside of the comics industry got into them.
Oh yeah,
like an Amazon.
No,
or, yeah.
if Amazon, I don't know.
But they have like a distribution network already. You can order the comics directly from them through Prime.
They have a studio.
Yeah, they have a studio. Like I was going to say Netflix, but Amazon is kind of already has an infrastructure to distribute both the comics in like multiple platforms and also have a studio.
Like Apple just announced that Apple TV shit and like
that's another company I could see.
Like that, basically, it's just like anyone that's going to buy a stake of IDW is going to be some entertainment brand. And what entertainment brand needs content like yesterday?
Yeah, I don't. Disney's definitely not in the game. I don't know if AT&T Time Warner is, because I don't know if any of this stuff adds to them fueling the DC app or anything else.
Warner Brothers already has like
a
comics company. I imagine they're not like up until like Aquaman and Wonder Woman were doing really well. It's like we're like there was like rumors that they were like going to try and sell DC.
Oh yeah, there were big rumors for a point, which would have been real weird.
Yeah, I never really 100% bought those rumors.
They can just still make so much money off of Batman and Superman for forever.
Yeah.
Like those characters print money.
Like the merchandising alone.
Oh, absolutely. Like there will never be a time, I think, in human history where people don't know who Batman and Superman are, like ever again. So why don't
I disagree. More people, and when I say people, I mean hipsters, care about Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I think those are like, I don't know, man. I tend to look at like kids, and kids wear Batman and Superman stuff.
Yeah, that Batman logo and that Superman logo, you can
they're timeless.
Put it on. Yeah,
they are modern day mythology. Like I'm pretty sure they teach like some college classes on that now, that like they're equal to Zeus and like Hercules, and in many ways like the symbology of stuff is very religious, and especially Superman is very Christ-like in a lot of stories.
About 1,000 years from now, they're gonna believe that this was a real story. We were just crazy back then.
Yeah.
Oh man, just wait until they find the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams, Green Arrow, Green Lantern stuff.
So I'm trying to look. One of the other stories you posted here, John, was so speaking of the DC app. So DC is adding basically every single comic to the DC Universe app.
Basically their entire digital comics library.
That's
20,000 comics.
Can you just imagine like the team they hired to do this? Like, how long do you think it took to like scan all of those comics in?
Well,
they've been doing it for a long time already.
Yeah. And before New 52 started, if not mistaken, it was Wildstorm who was in charge of, or who was delegated to basically just scan everything.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like a team of like 5 nerds. And this is what they do. Because actually, Disney ended up doing something similar with like an internet guy. It's slightly different, where there was like a dude who was like, had a website that was tracking all the continuity of Star Wars. And when Disney bought them, they were just like, yeah, instead of like making our own, we're just going to hire you and buy all your shit. And you can just continue to do this and we'll pay you. Which is like the same thing they did with like the people who build all their droids. They were just like fans at a con. And I think Abrams saw their droids and was like, yeah, you guys can be the new team that builds all our droids now.
I remember something along the lines of like it was like the other way around, where they offered, and this was like for Force Awakens.
Yes, yeah. I think they were like, he was walking through San Diego, like right when they announced that they were going to do a movie, and he just was walking around because at that time he could kind of still do that. and he like saw them and they're like, oh yeah, we can totally make something for their movie. And then he was like, where you can make all of them. Because I think they basically became like special effects people now that like build all the droids.
Yeah, like they did a custom built R2, and that's the version that ended up being in Force Awakens.
Yeah, I think they built BB-8 too. I think it was like those guys.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But yeah, this is like, but back to the DC Comics thing, like this is pretty crazy. So
I mean, it adds a lot of value to that
$8 a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like right now you've got like 3 TV shows currently fully up there, and then the next one on the horizon is what?
Oh, the next thing, Swamp Thing is next.
Okay, and that's in May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any like footage or
nothing?
Photos? No.
There's nothing. All we know is that the bad guy is the Floronic Man.
Oh wow, they're not even gonna. Because I just assumed you were gonna say Anton Arcane.
No, they're going with like.
No, I actually when me and Lou were doing an episode of Smallville Chronicles like a week or two ago, he brought that up, and I was like, oh, wait, are they doing Anton Arcane? And there's just no.
Yeah, I think it's a little much to start off with, and starting off this story with somebody who's kind of a rival for being the Avatar makes a lot more sense as an introduction to like the whole green of everything. Because it's, what's his name? Jason Woodrue. So he's the Floronic Man. I think the New 52 version called him Cedar, but it's the same character. And if you watch...
in the New 52, they just changed his name?
That's when they made him... So the original version... I don't even know if it's the original. The one that's like, I remember is the Alan Moore version, where he's like a scientist that works for... I think he works for Wayne or Luthor Corp. And he's the guy that figures out that the Swamp Thing of that time isn't actually
Alec Holland.
Yeah, he's the one that figures out that it's like the stuff that like absorbed him, and he died before the green could really take him in. So he's like this kind of amalgamation of what the green was able to pull from Alec. And then the New 52, they made it where like the green was really pissy at the way Holland was kind of being Swamp Thing, and they kind of bestowed some abilities to another character, which ended up being Woodrue, and then he was like being able to make plants grow super fast and like destroying. He was not about balance; he was about the green taking over, and he straight up beats the shit out of Swamp Thing, and the green strips Swamp Thing of his abilities and makes him join the Parliament for a while.
Mm.
Yeah, and he becomes like another Swamp Thing and just goes like he takes Swamp Thing into like what Swamp Thing would be if he wasn't in control.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know like a whole lot of Floronic Man stories.
Yeah, those are like the only 2, and he's really like a side character in the Alan Moore one, and then only that New 52 one is he's basically like evil Swamp Thing.
Okay.
Think of there was a DC animated movie with Swamp Thing, and the Floronic Man was like the villain. He was more like that version where he was just like
it was
he's
the
basically
goofy
eco bomb. Yeah,
it was the goofy Harley Quinn one that came out like a year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
Right.
He was
I was gonna. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying he was basically just like bent on like conquering the planet with just like plants. He literally made like eco bombs to like turn all like mammals into plants essentially.
Yeah, and he actually has appeared live action before. So if you watched Batman and Robin,
he was played by
Luthor. Yeah.
Wait, he's the guy that pushes Harley or Ivy into the thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That character is Jason Woodrue. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I think the only other story I know him from is the story where him and Poison Ivy like team up and make marijuana.
Oh, that's actually funny that I was putting out a picture of him and Ivy. But yeah, he's basically like, there's been a couple different representations. The design I like the most is, I'm going to pop it in here.
Wait, this is the Floronic cartoon version?
Yes.
So he basically just looks like Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he has like more facial features, like more human facial features. But this other one is like the one I prefer, where he has like more bark skin. Yeah. And he's kind of like an impish look. Yeah, because in New 52, he basically just looked like a person, except half of his face was like bark.
Yeah, like, I'm looking at all these designs in.
When he became the Avatar, he like basically went like full crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at all these like designs on Google Images, and I don't like any of these.
There are sometimes when he's better. Basically, what it is normally when Swamp Thing is like made of like moss and stuff, he is usually made of bark with like moss growing on it.
Yeah.
So, like, here, this is a good image.
Like,
yeah, that's like an old one.
Like, why does he need, like, shrubs to cover his, like, junk? Does he
so
have like? It doesn't make no sense.
Yeah, the one I just added, that's the new 52 version.
Was this before or after Snyder left?
It was probably around the same time because it was like one of the early stories in that.
So before the Swamp Thing Animal-Man crossover?
Yes, this is kind of what leads into that because when he takes over, he jacks up everything so bad that it leads the Green super vulnerable.
I don't know if I want him to look more Groot-ish. I think, like, I don't know, based on his powers and stuff, like, I don't know. I think he should look more, like, Weed-ish. Like Twiggy and a bunch of brambles and just kind of like a mishmash of a character. I don't know why he has to look so humanoid and all these things.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think this was concept art for when they were doing that Dark Universe, or the Justice League Dark thing.
Oh yeah, that's no bueno. I do not like
yeah, he looks like Evil Groot.
He looks like Evil Groot. Oh man.
But he's kind of like, he's Swamp Thing. But like, the only differentiation you could really do is, he's mostly, his face is always a little bit like more human. So like, Swamp Thing just has like that mush face.
He looks like he belongs in a Star Trek episode.
So before he changed, this is how they represented him when he was Cedar. And he had this like staff, and he kind of had like what looked like a leprosy, but it was actually like moss.
Oh, I like this.
And you never saw his face.
Yeah, like, I think this looks good.
Yeah, and he was just basically running around, like, and with his staff, just, like, making the green kind of take over places.
Like, this looks like a way cooler design than I feel like the other ones, because the other ones just feel like, oh, like, we're gonna team him up to fight Swamp Thing, so let's make him big like Swamp Thing. Like, here, it's like, oh, he looks like his own character.
Whose run was this from?
Oh, that's from the same run. So that's when he starts off, and then he fights Swamp Thing as that, and then turns into that, like, kind of bark Swamp Thing after he defeats.
Oh, so that's the new 52 version?
Yes. Here's, like, another... He's an interesting, like, they make him almost like a hiker. Like, he's very serial killer-y, because you never saw his face until he fought Swamp Thing and beat the crap out of him with a stick. So it was a cool story, and it basically was like, and if it's what they end up doing, it would be interesting to like kind of run in with like Swamp Thing running the green and this like other party, kind of like almost like true crime, like them having to like figure out who is doing all this stuff would be an interesting plot for that series, at least this first season. Because the Anton-Arcane stuff is so complicated and insane, and just like, I don't know, it's so out there that I don't know if like you can really jump into that head first. I'm sure that they could tease stuff, and it would be interesting to see them tease like the gray and the red.
There's one thing that I'm pretty mad about. They have not mentioned if John Constantine's going to show up.
I don't think so, because the rumors are that they might spin him off of Legends.
No. I mean, I want him to show. I want him to pal around with.
Yeah, so I think there's like weird rights, but like because of the CW-ness of it, so I'm not sure. But that basically, from everything I've read, is there's so much fan love for I can't remember. It's Matt Ryan that they will not do that character without him right now, as long as he wants to do it. So if he's allowed to do it, I'm sure that they will do something. Because at this point, I don't see them adding any more shows to CW for really any reason. Even though one is ending and a new one is starting, I don't see them spinning off stuff onto that channel.
Wait, what's starting?
Batwoman.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
Oh yeah, everyone does.
Well, there's like no advertising for it whatsoever. Like they haven't advertised anything. And it's basically going to be the Arrow replacement show. All right, so I know that
I hate to be that guy, but even though like DC adding all their their entire library is gonna what's the word? Or is gonna bring it up to like 20,000 and possibly more. They're going the Marvel Unlimited direction, where newer Rebirth stuff is going to be added 12 months after.
I don't mind them doing that. Like that's a good time frame.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not the thing. I just wanted to boast that Marvel Unlimited has over 25,000. So.
Well, I mean, but the DC app has the comics and the TV shows and the movies and a bunch of other stuff. Like, my big hope is when Disney Plus is announced, and they start kind of announcing everything that'll be a part of it, and the release date. One of the things that they announced with it is like, oh, hey, and also Marvel Unlimited is part of the deal.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming that like that, or if you're a Hulu, if you already like have Hulu account, you can add Disney Plus for like $5 or something like that.
I'd actually do that.
Yeah, like either way, like if any sort of combination that they do with those things is like a great way to like sell people, or like get all three of them for $25, which is a lot for a month, but I don't know. I already pay $14 for Hulu, and I think I pay I'm trying to think what the 4K one for Netflix is. I think it's like $17.
I just have the standard of both, and then I have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, well, Amazon Prime pretty much everybody has because they have Prime for shipping stuff. But we share, like most people, we share our Netflix and Hulu. We share with my in-laws, and then my in-laws have HBO and like a whole bunch of, so we steal their cable logins, and then my brother-in-law chips into them, and then we split up games on PlayStation. So everybody knows that there's ways around it. Most people can share those things.
Yeah.
Hey, at least it's not CBS All Access bad.
Yeah, they just have no content. Although I guess they have the Twilight Zone stuff that just got added.
Oh no, I'm talking about the fact that I'll use Star Trek Discovery as an example because it's basically the only thing I watch on there. Only on CBS All Access can you get every Star Trek show. But if you want them ad free, pay more. Pay me more.
Yeah. Well, Hulu's the same way. Like, I pay for the no commercials because I hate it. Like, I hate that aspect of Hulu, but of any of the things I was going to get rid of, it would be Hulu.
Man, that's why you only watch cartoons on Hulu.
Yeah, no commercials.
Yeah, no commercials. I do have Crunchyroll, too, but, like, I have my ways to get access to things like most people. So, and there's lots of free stuff on the internet. It's just easy to go from, like, stuff. But Hulu does have, like, a huge content library of, like, cartoons and anime.
Got all 10 seasons of Smallville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, until DC takes it back.
But let's jump into a couple of these other stories. So there's a new Power Rangers saga that they're launching that's focused on the Green Power Ranger, which is going to be interesting. I really like the, oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. Something Grid.
Shattered Grid.
Yeah, the Shattered Grid
was really good.
It was really good. Yeah, it was real good.
Like, it kind of got me nostalgic for Power Rangers stuff. It was very, like, I don't know, I think it's extremely well written, and the art was really good, so I'm going to try this new Power Rangers comic.
Oh, it's co-written by Senna Grace. I like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a new creative team.
The Iceman solo run, right?
Yep, he did the Iceman mini, and then he also did this book I really love from Image a couple years ago called Little Depressed Boy.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing stuff for that everywhere.
Yeah, they're doing a couple new Power Rangers thing because they're bringing in like a bunch of other characters. Like I guess the Psycho Ranger is returning. I have no idea what that is from. So
the Psycho Rangers were in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like they're basically like Zed was like, oh, like I'm tired of losing to the Power Rangers. What if we had our own version of evil Power Rangers? And so they pick up so they basically make evil Power Rangers. And I'm like, wait, you have the ability to do that? Why'd you just do that from the beginning?
They're the Mighty Tough Boys.
Yeah, the Rowdy Rough Boys.
The Rowdy Rough Boys. Yeah. I don't know. They look pretty cool. Psycho Green looks badass. Like, I don't know. I'm interested. I would love if they like made, like, I'm looking through, I guess it's like, if you click in the Power Rangers story, it shows like a bunch of other stories. It's like, oh yeah, they had that video game that wasn't a real video game because they ported a mobile game to the Xbox. I forgot all about that. And it's like a shitty, like, fighter game.
Oh, are you talking about that new fighting game?
Yeah, it's a port from the mobile game.
It's not. It's like a whole new game.
Okay, then there was like another game that was like a port to the system.
Because like the 3v3 fighting game that they're like doing promotion for right now is a wholly new game.
Okay.
Which I've been watching. I watched a video of it on Maximilian Dude's YouTube channel, who's like huge into the fighting game stuff, and he seems to really like it. I'm not really sure if he really likes it because it's a 3v3 fighter, or if he actually like really likes the mechanics of the game. Which, because he's not like a fan of Power Rangers, but maybe he does like the game.
Yeah. So, the other story I just quick hit on because I have not. Have any of you actually finished all of Action 1000? Or I mean, Detective 1000?
No.
I think I've read like half of it. because
It's big.
It's big.
Yeah.
So I read like the first 3 stories, and I liked the first 3 ones a lot. It'll tie into this new story a bit. Like the first 3, it's like the Snyder story, the Kevin Smith story.
The Kevin Smith story is the only one I know anything about, and that's because of UC All Access.
The Kevin Smith story was actually like really good. I liked it better than I liked the Snyder one. It was really interesting, like plot idea, and then dove into like a bunch of like deep cut stuff. But at the end of the book, which I have not gotten to yet, I don't remember. So it was Snyder, Smith.
I imagine that Kevin Smith Batman story is probably better than the last time Kevin Smith wrote Batman.
Oh, it's like actually like kind of like very heartfelt, like kind of story, like heavy.
Yeah, it's about Ace, right?
No, his story is about he's not Batman in it. He's Matches Malone. Who wrote the other one? I'm trying to figure out who wrote this other one. Oh, I read the Paul Dini one. The Paul Dini one I was not as big of a fan on. It's definitely like a comedy one. And then I don't remember who the next one I did not read. Oh no, yes I did. And I read what's the 4th one?
The only one I'm kind of
Alice one was really good too.
Yeah, it's got that sweet Becky Cloonan art. That's the only one I read.
That one was
like,
good.
That was like the one I made my way out of like the review because I think Becky Cloonan is super underrated.
Yeah, that's the one after the Dini one. So yeah, but basically the last page of the issue reveals kind of, I guess, unconnected to the story. I don't know. I have not read the story yet. Because it's the story of the current creative team, or I guess it's like the new creative team.
Yeah, Pete Tomasi.
Yeah, so it ends with the reveal of the Arkham Knight. And it's just a like full page kind of, and all it says is Batman, say it fast, really fast, as fast as you can, over and over. So what do you hear? Batman, 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 Batman. And they're not really explaining, but he has a giant sword. He looks very
90s.
He looks very 90s. He looks very armored, very Azrael. But it's not Azrael because he's doing some other crap.
Yeah, he's in space. He's far away. He's far away from all of this.
And then after that is like an ad for Batman and the Outsiders, which I actually cannot wait for. So that's the start. That's Batman, Black Lightning,
Signal.
I was gonna say Spotlight, but no.
Spoiler.
Signal, Orphan, and Katana. No, it's not Spoiler. It's Orphan.
Yeah.
Former, what was Cassandra Cain?
Cassandra Cain, former Batgirl.
So that will be interesting. I like Signal.
Yeah, can I say or reiterate that I do not like the Arkham Knight at all.
Well, it's a new character, so like it's a new person behind it, so
yeah, it's better than Jason Todd, I guess.
Well, it's just like anybody who knew anything about Batman knew that he was going to be in that game.
Yeah, but like all of the like marketing for that book for like months was like, who's the Arkham Knight? Who can the Arkham Knight be? And it was like this giant mystery, and then it's just like sentence 1. And I'm like, I hope this game hasn't been building up to this as the Red Hood. And then it's like, oh, it totally is. And then it acts like it's like a giant reveal.
I was actually
They literally said it was a brand new character, and as soon as like the first sentence he says, you could tell it's like Jason Eccles. It's gonna be Red Hood. It's obvious.
Yeah, he calls Batman old man. Who else would have that been?
I was expecting someone, but the person I expected it to be would have been a much better reveal.
Oh, who were you expecting? Like Hush?
Damian.
Oh, yeah, that would have been interesting.
I don't know how that would fit in the timeline wise, because that would have been a very old Damien. That would have been like
they did a clone of Damien. I can't remember what that character's name was.
God, they could have done some of that goblin serum bullshit they did in that Spider-Man book.
Yeah, they did do a thing. I can't remember what the character's name was because he was in one of the animated things, but they didn't take off the helmet. In the book, Talia aged up a clone of Damien. Because he is a test tube baby. And everything was aged up except for his head. So he had like a Damien head on this giant jacked up body.
Oh, gross.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, but I was also going to say, Ryan, we were working at GameStop when this game came out. And I think they had Red Hood t-shirts and the figures before the game came out.
Yeah, you could tell who it was.
Like they were like, oh yeah, people figured it out already, and like just released all the stuff. Like I still have the Red Hood T-shirt from then for that game.
Do you guys know who wrote the Arkham Knight tie-in books?
No, who was it?
Pete Tomasi.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that seems like something he would have probably written at the time. Which, like, also, like, I don't know, man. Like, I kind of wish that I kind of have like the same problem with the Action Comics 1000 that I kind of do with the Detective Comics 1000. Like, at least Action Comics was like, hey, here is like Brian Michael Bendis writing Superman from now on. And, like, they're like, here's the next big like push of these books. And like nothing against Peter Tomasi and Doug Mankey, because I love Tomasi and Mankey on like, you know, Green Lantern Corps and a bunch of other books, but you know, you're never gonna have a Detective Comics 1000 ever again. Like it's supposed to be like this big kind of major thing, and I feel like Tomasi and Mankey are kind of like a C tier team. Like they're the guys you had write your tie-in comics for a little bit. Like I kind of feel like the next people on Detective Comics writing this Arkham Knight story should have been an A tier creator and A tier artist.
Well, every single other story was basically that, like in the book. And I actually didn't know that like not everybody that did a cover didn't do a story, and vice versa. So like there was because one of the stories is drawn by Neil Adams, which I just flipped through the pictures and it was gorgeous. But yeah, like they had like the creme de la creme of like people associated with Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be I think the number orders for Action Comics and Superman post Action Comics 1000 are going to be way higher than the numbers for Detective Comics. Because I don't know, man, who cares about the Arkham Knight 4 years after the game came out?
Oh, well, yeah. Like, I don't think people are buying it for that. Or you mean like the numbers post?
Yeah,
like the bump?
Yeah, you're getting a bunch of people coming into a store to buy 1000. And maybe like of all the people who are buying 1000, maybe half of them will actually read the comic instead of bagging, boarding, and then putting it into a storage locker somewhere. And like of those half people, I don't know how much of a hook the Arkham Knight is. Or like the hook of a Tomasi and Gleason teamed book is.
Yeah, I think the difference is, at least in my mind, is that either you read Batman or you don't. I feel like you're not really going to be pulling in new readers into this book.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like it was a difference when it was Batwoman. Like I could see like that being an important thing, but if you're gonna read Batman, you're reading detective. Like,
I mean, like there are times when I was reading detective, and I wasn't like I was reading Snyder Batman or Snyder Detective Comics, and I did not touch Tony S. Daniel Batman.
Oh yeah, there is definitely a difference between the two books. Like I preferred the current detective run over I don't even remember who's doing Batman, but
Tom King.
Oh, okay, yeah. We've talked about our mixed feelings on Tom King.
You're like, I don't know who's writing the #1 book in comics right now.
Yeah, well, he's like, I don't know. All I can think of when I hear his name is like, I don't know how this guy wrote Heroes and Crisis and Mr. Miracle.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I black out his name from that. But I have not really liked the current Batman, like the Batman book, as opposed to Detective.
Mm-hmm.
But
I will, like, the last thing I'll say about it is, like, I just remember, regardless of quality, DC did a huge marketing push with Action Comics 1000, where they promoted 1000, but then they were also like, Bendis is coming. They're like, Bendis writing Action Comics 1000 or 101 or whatever, you know, starting on Superman, whatever number. You didn't really see it from this other side.
Yeah, I get you. But maybe I don't know. The only thing I can think of is maybe because they brought somebody on with such a big name and he's somebody that's very divisive, that it like did not do well for them in some sort of regards. So maybe they did not want to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to move on, the last story I saw, which before we jump into the one Alan you brought up, because this will just be a quick hit, is Rob Liefeld's revealed Major X character. I can share the picture if you guys don't want to click on the link. But this is like the laziest character design I've ever seen. But of course, it's because Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, he's a dude.
It's like Deadpool, but with like Magneto hair and like kind of Warpath looking.
I mean, he looks like a guy. He looks like a guy who could have been in Youngblood.
Oh, yeah, he totally looks like he could be in Youngblood.
Like, I don't know, man. I saw that, like, Mr. X is already sold out.
Oh, yeah, the first run. Yeah, the Major X, yeah, it already sold out. So it's just like, why?
I don't know who's buying this book. I don't know who's interested. I don't know a thing about it. I don't care. It's just like, it's so off my radar. It fell it fell to an abyss that'll never be seen.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like comic bros that like Deadpool the movie are like, oh, it's the same guy. It's like, yeah, you guys definitely don't remember the same Rob Liefeld that I remember.
Here's the thing. Liefeld does have fans, and a Liefeld book will always sell like X amount of copies, like all the time, no matter what. Like I think if you were to give me like a list of guys who like do work all the time within certain comics, and it's like, well, like J. Scott Campbell. If you put J. Scott Campbell on any kind of cover, like instantly, it's like $80. You know, that's why he only does variants, and that's why those variants always go for money. Like Greg Land must be like a guy who just has like a very devoted fan base, because Greg Land is just on a lot of books like all the time, or he's just a guy who's like really good at just getting books in on time. And Rob Liefeld's a guy who gets books in on time, and he has a very devoted fan base. They're not my fan base. Like, I'm not part of that fan base, but he's got a very devoted fan base.
Yeah, I guess my last comment on it is his hands look good. There's no pouches.
But we haven't seen his feet.
That is true. There's no feet. There's a sword and a gun. And that sword looks a little too small for that, I can't think of the word where the sword goes.
Sheath.
The sheath. That sheath is gigantic. Unless that is not a sheath and just like a giant X-War style rifle. But I don't know. This is just like, it just reeks to me of like, oh, he's a name right now because of those Deadpool movies. What do you have in your back pocket that you never did? Oh, here's the thing.
God, Marvel like treated it like he was a huge thing that he was doing X-Men again. It's just like really funny. Like the people that they'll put like a lot of marketing power behind, and the people that they don't put marketing power behind.
Like Dennis Hopeless.
Yeah, like Dennis Hopeless should be like a way bigger name.
All right. Oh, so Alan, to go to our next story, the one you posted. So Erik Larsen is returning to Marvel. Do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, hold on. So Erik Larsen, he's doing some new work for Marvel. This is the first time like he's gonna be writing and drawing. And new work is about 41 pages of comic book work in total. And it wasn't something where like he approached Marvel actually approached him. And this is the first time he's done this amount of this level of work for Marvel in about 17 years. And it's pretty fitting that his last stint with Marvel was about like 17, 18 years ago with Defenders.
Oh my god. That was 17 years ago. I'm so old.
Oh, God, shut up. You're younger than me. How old are you? Like 25?
I'm
Me?
25.
Yeah.
I'm 32.
Oh, I didn't know we were the same age.
Oh, I'm younger than both of you then. I felt old.
I turned 33 next week. I feel like...
Oh, you're the oldest then. I
like,
turned 32 like a month ago.
I feel like a skeleton. Like
I turned 19 in April.
No, you're lying, Ryan. You did not turn 19 in 19.
No, I'll turn 28 on the 20th.
But I don't know, man. It's like funny that Erik Larsen's like, doing new Marvel work. I think it's like the only comic he's been doing for like the last 25 years has been like ongoing is Savage Dragon.
Wow. I didn't know he was still like that was him doing that.
Yeah, Savage Dragon is still going on.
Well, I knew it was him, like it was still going on. I didn't know he wasn't still doing it. I didn't know he like McFarlaned it and handed it off to somebody.
No, he's Erik Larsen from like issue 1 to like whatever issue they're currently at. He is like the writer and artist. He is the sole proprietor of Savage Dragon.
I would really love to know what happened where he turned it into like very porny. Like what was going on that made him change that book that way?
Honestly, man, I think Savage Dragon's always been kind of horny. I think it's just because in the age of like social media, people are like sharing the pages more often. Like, did you see the craziness that happened in Savage Dragon this month?
Yeah, son of Savage Dragon had sex with 3 women. One of them was his adopted sister, and he knocked them all up.
Yeah, man, Savage Dragon is a wild book.
So I just wanted to quickly talk about this because it's something that I never thought would happen again. Jim Lee is going to be doing some work for Image.
Oh, yeah, I was going to bring that up right afterwards, yeah. Because I think Spawn, is it 300?
Yeah, 300.
Yeah, so yeah, Jim Lee is coming back. So I guess to just draw something for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a couple other people. If they got oh my god, what's his name that's been drawing Batman? Capullo to come back and draw like something for it too. Because he was like a big Spawn artist. He's the guy that took over from McFarlane drawing.
Yeah, and the thing, and starting with issue 301, McFarlane is he's coming back to write and draw the book.
Okay, yeah, sorry, we are typing in the thing about whether or not. I'm just going to bring up the second part, though. Have you ever seen anything as garbage as this design? This, I don't know what to call it, thing for Gotham.
Yeah, so
Like, they outdid themselves.
So
It's
as
worse
of
than
today,
like 90s Birds of Prey. It's I can't even describe it.
so today, as we are recording, Gotham, the people behind Gotham are releasing the image for, I guess, Joker's never been in Gotham.
Well, they've had 3 previous iterations of Proto-Jokers.
And so now they have like the final design for Joker, and he looks like Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
No. He looks like Palpatine after the lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of those things.
Oh my god!
God, that's so much better.
Yes.
I've been trying to think of like what he's been looking like for like all day, and that's it.
His
Basically,
like, skin is gray and like melting. Does he have a bad comb over, or is it like
Yeah,
is
he's
it
a
white?
comb over. There's another picture of
and
him.
he's wearing rubber gloves.
Like the suit, I don't mind the suit and everything. Like that's fine. It's just he looks puffy and old, and like I don't like this show, but the other versions have all looked fine enough.
He looks like Uncle Fester as the Joker.
And the thing is, it's Cameron Monaghan, like the same guy.
Wait,
playing.
is it really?
Yeah, it's really him.
Oh my god! So then they've had here. I'll share. I think this was the third one.
Yeah, there was Jeremiah, who was the first one. He came back, and then he had a magic brother.
Is that this one I just added? The second one?
Well, he somehow took over his brother's. Like his brother was good and everything, so he turned him evil, took over his mind. He
like gassed him.
Yeah. Then there was they ripped off the whole New 52 Detective Comics with the face.
Yeah, the sewn off face. Yeah, because like the other versions are goofy, but they still look not terrible. And I heard that they did like a Red Hood thing at some point.
Yeah, it was season 1. So a little bit after the Jeremiah was introduced.
Wait, did they do like a real deal Harley in the show?
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, it was worse. It was almost worse than this.
Because I just was flipping through and I saw a picture of an actress dressed as Harley, and I was like, wait, this can't be their Harley. Although, like, I do like this actress and stuff she's been in. This isn't their Harley, is it?
No.
Okay. Because I can't remember her name, but she's been in a bunch of stuff for forever.
They were teasing that Barbara Keene was going to be
Harley. Yeah, I remember that as I watched the first season of Gotham because I had to give it a shot.
That poor character.
Oh, Barbara Keene?
Yeah, like...
Hey, she led the League of Assassins.
Oh my god, that's...
I mean,
god, this picture is so much worse. Why is he bald? He has no hair.
Yeah, it was like a comb over is like what it was.
Why is he Uncle Festery? And he's like is this a fake chin? Or are they just like doing makeup to make his chin look gigantic?
I think they were trying to give him the prosthetic for like the pointy chin like the regular Joker has. Like, you know how when he laughs his chin gets like really sharp? I think they were like trying to go for something like that.
And now he has like a butt chin and his face is melting Palpatine style. And he has like 25 wisps of hair and clumps.
I am the Senate.
I just want to hear him scream unlimited power at some point.
yeah, I just something. I need like I am the Senate or something. This could be the way he looks. It could be just him like just getting out of the acid, and maybe he'll like his look will change because they did like release it on April Fool's, so like they may try something else.
Is this better or worse than Jared Leto?
Worse. At least Jared Leto Joker like has like a design, and I get it. I get like where they're going with it. I don't understand like this design.
Oh, I found another picture.
Yeah, there should be one more with like him like holding. Yeah, that was the other one. That one looks better, but like if you zoom out, it's just worse.
I I just don't get the hair thing. It's weird.
Well, if he followed acid, your hair's like gonna dissolve. So like that kind of makes sense than just like dyeing his hair green.
Like, I don't mind
But-
the facial scars in this shot and, like, the way his face looks. But, like, in those other two shots where they're, like, from obviously clips, it looks... Well, the one is a promo. The promo shot, it looks the worst.
Yeah.
With the eyes and, like, the look. And then the other one is obviously from, like, a scene. I just don't... Oh, my God. I'm glad the show is ending.
Well, it's the only thing you gotta worry about is like because like the last episode is like when they revealed like Batman. So
I
like
think
you
they
gotta
already
see
said
like
that I think they already said that they're going to do that.
no, I know that. I mean like you gotta see. I want to see like if it turns out like this Joker or
There's
like
so many, I never like. There's so many pictures of this Joker now. There's
yeah.
a different one.
I remember for the longest time they said that they weren't allowed to use the Joker.
Yeah, well, I think that like at this point, like all bets are off because all the movies are basically like in no man's land that have to do with Batman.
But they did No Man's Land.
Oh God, don't tell me about these things.
You know what?
All of the fifth season was No Man's Land.
Oh my! You just reminded me. There's a Pennyworth show. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never watch it.
Oh, what channel is that even on?
Stars.
Oh, that's
Really? Yeah,
I think so.
Stars has American Gods, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I love that show. It's
yeah.
coming back.
It's already on.
Oh, I didn't know it started again. I have to watch
It's like
it.
on episode 4 right now. It's really good.
Oh man. All right. So, does anybody have any to change topics? Finally, have any comic books they specifically want to talk about that they've read?
Yes, I was blown away. I read issues 1 through 3 of Immortal Hulk, and I was blown the fuck away.
Yeah, John, you've been pimping that book for a while. So,
Yeah,
Which book was it?
Immortal Hulk.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a real good book.
And I like how, as John mentioned when he brings up the book, I like the way they're utilizing the Hulk as like a 30s monster, like Universal monster.
Hey, Mr. Hyde. Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of how he was originally like conceptualized.
And I did get a little mad when he started referencing stuff from Civil War 2.
Oh God.
Like the whole, like, the thing, what he asked Clint to do. I mean, I'm not going to spoil Civil War 2 because I don't want to give people mercy.
yeah. So, which side were you on? Like, who do you think was right during that whole fissure between Avengers?
I mean, it's like I wanted to be on Carol's side, but like
was
she
wrong.
just made, but they kept on giving her like the worst hot takes, and it's like it's impossible. Like there's so much like kind of character assassination of Carol Danvers in Civil War 2 that's just like it's so bad.
Isn't that why they basically like gave her amnesia afterwards?
She went to forget. I don't think so. But like the whole like reasoning behind her, I don't know. She was in the wrong.
Well, it was that I never read it, but it's like Minority Report, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah.
It's like a form of racial profiling.
Yeah, they basically like capture this. I can't even say it. I don't want to like ruin anything.
Oh yeah, I remember it has to. Yeah, it's like goofy.
They introduce the character, and by the end of the event, it's like, oh, bye. I'll never see you guys again. Fuck off.
Well, comics do that all the time, though. There are plenty of characters that like they bring around for an event. They're like, oh, like remember? What was her?
I mean, the character, like the whole person that was integral to the plot of Civil War 2 hasn't been seen or heard from since.
Oh yeah, the guy.
Yeah, the Inhuman.
They do that in comics all the time. Because what was the girl's name that was in Batman? That was like the new sidekick that was around
Harper.
for like Harper. I loved Harper, and they just were like, "Nah, she's gone. She left. She went to go to college, I think." And like, I think they brought her back like one issue a little while ago, but like, they don't talk about her.
As like, well, I thought didn't she have to take care of her brother or something, or was it the other way around?
No, they like resolved that, and Bruce was basically like, I can just cut you a check and you can live in the mansion. And she was just like, no, I don't want this life anymore. And kind of like, they just like don't touch her. Because I liked her character design too. Like, I liked her as Bluebird. I liked that she was like a techie person that could build stuff, and she was smart and sassy and like gave Bruce shit.
I mean, I was happy when they brought her back on Young Justice.
Yeah, she's like in the one issue, right? The first one, I think.
No,
The TV show.
Yeah.
Because she's like in the school.
Oh yeah,
with
she's the one that says
Halo
like,
and
"Oh, we're freaks."
yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she was in an issue recently. I can't remember what it was for. It was like a Bat Family issue, obviously.
It was after a certain character kills another character.
Oh yeah, it was the post. Yeah. But yeah, it's something that comics do all the time, because the problem is like whenever you introduce a character whose like power set is either too OP or kind of a ridiculous thing to have around, they like don't know what to do with them. And it's the same thing when like they change characters too much, they like get scared and they have to change everything back around again.
That was basically what happened in like Heroes when Peter Petrelli got too powerful. They just like nerfed him. They just gave him one power at a time.
Oh god, that's a show I like ducked out on hard time.
I think I got through 2 seasons of Heroes.
Only season 1. That's all you needed. You don't need to go beyond that.
I got through 2 seasons, and then they spent the entire summer building up like the villains were going to be added to the show, and they were making this huge marketing push for the villains. And then the first episode of season 3, like they all died, and I'm like, cool, thanks, see ya.
Speaking of villains, can I talk about Flash 36 and 37?
Yeah, sure. Is that the Trickster one?
Yeah, it's the...
Oh wait, oh no, is it the books that you were posting in the chat before?
Oh no, it's just like I've been trying to catch up on Flash because I'm at least halfway behind.
Yeah, I was gonna say you said 36, 37. I thought you meant the current ones, which are 66 and 67.
No, but Trickster is involved. They killed off a New 52 character that was introduced in the Francis Manipul run.
So like a late term Flash.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I read that book and I don't remember who it was. Was it the dude you were questioning about who it was? Or was
the World War II pilot who got stuck into the the Speed Force.
Yeah, when he was trapped in the Speed Force because of Grodd. Was it that story? And there was like the whole bunch of other characters that were like stuck in the Speed Force from different timelines.
Oh no, he was.
Oh no, you're talking about he's the black character, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember who it is now. It was like Turbine or something was his name?
Yeah, Turbine. He got stuck in the Barry got stuck in the Speed Force, discovered Turbine. They got out, and he basically joined the Rogues. And the issue opens up with Turbine's death, or Turbine being discovered. And I posted a picture, like one of the covers on Facebook, and it's Cicada, Captain Cold, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, like all the Flash Rogues, Girder, and some guy I'd never.
Yeah, I had to look it up when you asked about it. Like, I had no idea who the hell that guy was.
And it turns out he was actually he's from this run, and it says a lot or just could just be that most of those characters are created or heavily like improved upon by Jeff Johns and Mark Waid.
Yeah, because he's basically like what they turned Amulet Black into, right, for the TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, because I remember this is when Barry starts working in the jail, right?
Yeah, for Wolf.
Okay, yeah, they just recently, like, kind of did a story, like, 66 had a story that still dealt kind of with all of that. So, I don't know. I'm not, like, a huge fan of, like, Warden Wolf and, was it Blackgate?
Iron Heights.
Were you going to say something, John? Hello, my computer go down?
No, I'm here.
Oh, I thought you made it sound like you had a comment before.
Oh, no, I'm just stretching.
I'm just basically happy that I don't have to read any more crap about the negative Speed Force.
Oh yeah, they got them. That's done away with. But just wait until you get to the Force.
The
Forces. No, the Forces. I just don't understand. Like, it started off as an interesting concept. You can ask Conor McGraw about it, but like, I don't care about this story anymore.
They did introduce a good character. She was like the Brazilian one.
Oh yeah. The tank one. Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah, she's cool.
I didn't mind the Asian guy, but like, just the story overall is really goofy.
I don't understand how like they're just like making the Speed Force like so OP and like how
it is so OP. It's just like I don't understand Like, he can travel through time. That's like OP to the nth level.
No, I get all that, like moving faster than light, but like they're just adding like all of these. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of like? It's basically like what is it like Silver Age? Not Silver Age. Like very old Superman, where he's just like, what's the point? He's just doing everything. There's nothing that can stop him.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to do that thing when they had like all the Green Lantern, like other lanterns, but with the Flash, and it's just coming off kind of dumb. So I think it has to do with like they wanted to do something with Turtle for the Justice League book.
Oh, with
like,
the Still Force?
Yeah, and they're like, well, you can't just have a Still Force. It's like, well, why can't we? And they're like, oh, well, we have to do all these other things. I feel like it was kind of forced upon them because Turtle is like super important to that story, that they now have to deal with all these other forces, which are just super dumb. But like
I mean, like, as someone who's like on the outside looking in on the Flash books, like, kind of the reason why I haven't read any of the Joshua Williamson book, because like I feel like the first arc started with evil speedster, and then the next arc was about an evil speedster, and I feel like every big arc about that book is about an evil speedster, and I'm like,
that's the TV show.
The time they went away from evil speedster, it was the worst.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't.
Oh,
like,
you mean with Shade?
The Flash rogues are so good that like I don't know why they have to keep on making up these new evil speedster characters, and it's like it's not something I want to read personally.
Yeah, the Mina character, the one that becomes like the girl Reverse Flash, I don't care for. I like Godspeed. I think Godspeed's an awesome character.
That's the only villain I like besides Eobard.
Yeah, because I think Godspeed is not a villain per se. He's more of an antagonist because he's basically like the Jason Todd to Flash. Like that, Jason Todd is the Batman. So it's like, oh, he has the powers, but like he's going to stop crime and he's going to kill people. And he's like, well, I was a cop, so why wouldn't I do this? I would do it if I was a cop. Like,
so it's Hunter.
Yeah, they gave Zolomon kind of like a different role in this. Because Hunter Zolomon got involved in the whole forces thing, which was really stupid. But I actually like the last two issues have involved the original Trickster, and they are actually way more interesting.
James Zesty?
Is the kid Trickster still around?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention, in the issues that I read...
That's cool. I think he's like a really cool component to those books. Like,
Axel Walker ends up taking the blame for...
Yeah,
Turbine's death.
He has one arm in the book, right?
Yeah, he and Barry and Christina find him missing the arm and all bloodied up. And I mean, I know that there's going to be more developments with the rest of the rogues, but I really just want to I wish I could just fast forward to Flash War.
Flash War was alright because it had to do with Wally, and like the story with Wally was interesting. I'm just like flipping through the one that just came out, and they actually did like an interesting thing where they have Flashes fighting a cult that worships Necron. I think that was his name. The guy from Blackest Night. And then they have William Hand's gravestone in the background. So kind of cool throwback to that. But yeah, I don't know. The Flash book's been kind of wonky. I'm like very close to dropping it. I'm actually like so thankful of the teen books that they've been doing because I think they've all been pretty awesome. Like I actually really enjoyed the Naomi book.
Mm-hmm. Did you get around to finishing Dial H?
No, I have not read Dial H yet.
Oh my god!
It's only one issue out right now, right?
Yeah, the first issue that came out. It's literally sitting behind me. I just haven't had a chance.
I read that earlier today. Yeah.
What did you guys all read? Sean, did you read Naomi as well, or did you not get a chance to?
I read the latest Naomi.
Okay, yeah, number 3.
Yeah, where you find out the guy is a Thanagarian.
Yeah, and we do find out that other woman, just like you said, is from Gemworld.
Yeah, which is like, okay, so this is the first thread that links Young Justice to like any of the other Warner comic books.
I know Alan was telling me like Dial H involves Superman as well. So that's also a thread.
That's the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's Dial H, Wonder Twins, Naomi, and Young Justice.
Yeah, and then the last page reveal, is that a Ran person?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
I thought he was Ranian.
Yeah, which is...
It looks like Adam Strange's outfit.
Yeah, I might be like a bad comic book fan for saying this, but I just like... outside of like Hawkgirl, like I do not care about Ran or Thanagar at all.
I like Hawkman. I like Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I do like Kendra, like the current version of Hawkgirl. I did like Shayera before her. I read the Hawkman book. I like Adam Strange's stories when they've done well.
Mhm.
But whenever it's that goofy, whenever it has to do with the Iran Thanagar stuff, and it's just him, it gets boring. They did a book, I think it was like the previous Hawkman book, and it was Hawkman and Adam Strange, like as a duo, and it was really good.
Wasn't it that like the death of Hawkman?
Yes, it was the death of Hawkman.
Which immediately led into like a Hanna-Barbera DC crossover?
Yes, and then led into the current like story of Hawkman, which is awesome, which is him like getting popped through time, meeting past versions of himself.
Yeah,
and most of the time they attack him and he has to fight himself. But they give like a more definitive background story, like on specifically Hawkman himself. Although the Shayera thing still doesn't make sense. Although she's kind of like a separate thing now, because she's running around with the main Justice League book. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like most of the Rand stuff is like goofy, but it's like cool, kind of like a pull that, oh, in this town, there's a dude from Rand and there's a dude from Thanagar in it. And that can't be like for no reason. But it'll be interesting. We get the new book, new Young Justice book coming out this week. That's one of my pulls. So I've been really digging it. I do think it's weird that we have yet to see in the book itself Teen Lantern. She's been on the covers, but we actually haven't seen her drawn in any of the issues.
Yeah, we have.
No, we only see her construct. We don't actually see her.
I think we saw her in the underground prison.
We see her hand.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't see anybody in the prison. We just see their hands. Which I think it's because she's the one like, oh, I'm sorry I did the thing. And then Amethyst is like, yeah, well, we're all going to die because of that. So I do blame you. And then they all forget again, which I thought was like an interesting way for like a prison in that book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't wait for issue 4. John, I know you said that there was a book that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't read any traditional comics this week because I was listening to War Rocket Ajax, which is a podcast I really like about comics. And at the beginning of the month, they always do a Every Story Ever special, which is a podcast they've been doing for like the last 3 years at this point, where people will send them a list of like 3 comics, and they rank them on a giant list from best to worst. And so this month, someone sent in a comic that I've been meaning to check out for a while now. I just kind of keep on forgetting because it's online only. And it's the new Nancy comic from Olivia James. Is anyone here familiar with the comic strip Nancy?
Not at all. Can you drop a picture or something in here?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the first.
Oh, you did. Okay, cool.
So this is the first strip of Olivia James's take on Nancy, and Nancy is a comic or like a newspaper strip comic that's been going on for like a lot of years. Like I want to say it's. I'm looking at Wikipedia for it. Originally started in 1938.
Oh shit! So this is like Peanuts level age-wise.
Yeah. And then it ran from 1938 to 1982. And then it got taken over by someone new who wrote it for about a year. And then it took to another guy who wrote from 84 to 95, 98 to 2018. And now Olivia James.
Damn, that is a run. That was what, 23 years?
Yeah.
Okay, 95 to 2018.
Guy and Brad Gilchrist. Yep. Wrote it from 95 to 2018. So Olivia James is taking over the book, and you would think like for a comic, if you think of like comic strips in a book, or like in a newspaper where you have like your Garfields, your Beetle Baileys, some of those comics are reprints, and there's like stuff that's like pretty timeless, like Peanuts. And Calvin and Hobbes, but
there's some other, because like I would say like the newer ones of that, it's like probably, does Dilbert still exist?
Dilbert does. We don't talk about Dilbert, because the creator of Dilbert's a huge shithead. But there are like things about like if you read Beetle Bailey, it reads like a comic of an era, and they don't necessarily like age well. So like I read like a couple of the Nancy comics before we got to Olivia James, and they feel like comics of like that classic era that they're trying to replicate. Like, and the comics are based around this young girl named Nancy and her best friend Sluggo, who is like this young Newsies looking boy.
Sounds very Archie so far.
And Nancy lives with her aunt Fritzy, who is drawn like this beautiful pinup lady. But she looks completely different artistic style from everyone else in the book. Like, everyone looks like classic newspaper strip character design, while she just looks like Jessica Rabbit. It's very weird. But it's like, oh, it's also of the time. Of course she looks beautiful. So Olivia James took over this book on April 9th last year. And so you can imagine, like, of the history of this book, of this classic feel of classic newspaper strips. The first comic that Olivia James does is Nancy sitting at a table with a piece of pie in front of her, and this lady is looking at her, and she's like, that Nancy, she's such a sweet girl. Panel 2. Nancy grabs like this shaker of salt and puts salt on the pie. And she's like, also a salt girl. And then Nancy grabs like a stick of butter, and she's like, and she doesn't shy away from that butter either. And then the fourth panel is the woman just looking dead at Nancy. Like, you only see her face, and it's, wow, she's going in on that cornbread.
Yeah. Well, if you also notice so the first picture is just a pie, then it's a pie and a drink. Then she has the butter, it's a pie, a drink, a cupcake, and a hamburger.
Yes! And it's like, I'm like, oh. And so I was like, oh, and, they're like, I heard about this comic for like the last couple of months. This comic kind of got meme status last year around September, when this comics dropped. And as you would probably imagine, a bunch of old readers of Nancy were not happy with the take on Nancy currently. They're like, Nancy's super mean and aggressive, and there's too much technology in this book, and why is Aunt Fritzy not hot anymore? Like, they're like, she needs to be more hot. So on September 3rd, Olivia James put out this comic with an artist note that said, it's Labor Day, so I'm taking the day off. Instead of a new comic, please enjoy the sneak peek at panels that will be appearing in upcoming strips. And the first panel is Nancy on a hoverboard with a selfie stick with a camera on, holding another camera, and she's wearing sunglasses, and she just says, Sluggo is lit. And then the next panel is Aunt Fritzy wearing snowsuits, or a snowsuit, and she's like, and that's why I'm only wearing snowsuits from now on. And then the next panel is phones, and the last panel is them all together just saying Sluggo is lit. And it's like this comic that basically is like a giant knock on like the fans who like complain about the new Nancy comic. So like I'm at December 19th right now, and this comic is like, it's not like laugh out loud funny, and it's not like really like changing the world or anything, but it's just like, it kind of just reminds me of like what I used to really like about reading a newspaper strip as a kid, and I just really like it. And like the one that just came up yesterday for April Fool's Day was like so good. Because it was, for April Fool's Day, and the comic was about Olivia James, like, talking about the history of Nancy and trying to uphold the legacy of Nancy. And the first panel is a picture with 3 rocks on it, and with Olivia James writing, diehard fans of Nancy will recall that the original artist and creator, Ernie Bushmiller, nearly always drew rocks in precise groups of 3. As all true fans know, he developed this habit during World War II, when wartime shortages forced cartoonists to limit themselves to rocks that they were allowed. And there's like a sign that says 3 is enough, save cartoon rocks for our boys. And then the third panel is like an original Bushmiller like image of Nancy with her saying like, Aunt Fritzy will never find her cod liver oil underneath this 4th rock. And like the caption underneath that is, what some may not know is that later in his career, Bushmiller attempted to experiment with higher numbers of rocks, only to be swiftly shut down by his editors. Today, at long last, I am humbled to make his true vision of Nancy a reality. And the cover, or the 4th panel, is just covered with rocks, and Nancy's on a Segway with a selfie stick and sunglasses. It's like, Olivia James is good, and this comic is good, and it's like been like a lot of fun just kind of like reading through it right now, and it's gonna be like one of those comics I have like saved onto my phone that I check every day, for updates along with questionable content and dumbing of age and the Brock Cox and a couple other stuff.
Yeah, I just been like looking up as you've been talking, and there's definitely been a bunch that like made me laugh. I had to find one with the ant. So this one's from '98.
Yeah,
which
and it's
feels like even more pinup because like the older one, she's a little bit different. She's not as circly as everybody else. But like in the '90s, it looks like they made her even more pinup-y. This is doesn't have a date, but like this is an even older one. But there have been some like really funny ones that I've been flipping through. I don't know. Sometimes comic strips are like pretty great. Like this is definitely interesting. The only other newer one I've ever read anything of was the Boondocks.
Yeah,
which I really like, and then I like the show.
Yeah, like, it's funny because I feel like a lot of strips that are, like, really good, like Dinosaur Comics, like, I think Dinosaur Comics is solicited in, like, one of our, like free zines in town, but for the most part, I feel like a lot of newspaper strips you see in newspapers now are like grandfathered in. It's like, of course, Peanuts is going to be there, and Beetle Bailey, and whatever Jim Davis is doing on Garfield now. But there's like still like people who are like really kind of holding up the torch for like classic newspaper strips with like the 4-panel comics. And I think there's like a lot kind of like fun to be had out there, and I think Nancy is like one of those like, this would have been like something if newspapers were still getting new strips all the time, like this would be something like I would love to read in a newspaper, but it's online now, and so I can read it now.
Yeah, and it's definitely like a lost kind of art form in many ways because like newspapers don't exist basically anymore for the most part.
Yeah, it's like hard to tell a 4-panel story every day for 52 weeks. Or 5 days a week. There's a Sunday strip, so 6 days a week.
Yeah, which it's funny because like you don't really think about this when it comes to comics, but like a lot of comics started this way. Like, wasn't Superman a strip and Spider-Man was a strip at one point too?
Oh yeah, like most like I think Captain Marvel was a strip too.
So I don't know. That's definitely interesting. Like, it's definitely something I like some of the stuff, especially what this new writer has been doing. Looks really funny. I'm sorry. Now you got me like on a thing where I'm like flipping through it. But yeah, that's awesome. The only other book I was going to bring up was I just blanked on it. All right, so forget it. I guess it was not important because I don't remember what it was anymore.
Was it Heroes in Crisis at number 7?
No, I have not read it yet.
Because I'll tell you, nothing happens.
There's the whole book.
Yeah. I've been digging Martian Manhunter. Like, I really love that book. I think I talked about High Level last week. Yeah, I don't remember what it is. But yeah, I guess we can do like a real quick round on like our discussion topic because it's almost midnight by me. So, Alan, you brought up the idea of like a character that you started off disliking and now you like, and kind of vice versa as well. So I know you said you had one. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so the character I absolutely hated like a decade ago, right before I got into reading comics, ironically, was Deadpool. And that was mainly because I was reading everything I'd seen was the Daniel Way stuff. And as a result of that, I hate that he's a creator I do not enjoy at all. And it was right up until it was basically. I'm blanking on the. He was in a team book with Wolverine that was written by. I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah, so which kind of, like this, so was it when he changed into the more comedy style that you liked him, or was it after that, or like a specific, because I really didn't like I never really got into him until, I think it was the Cable and Deadpool book, which was in like the early 2000s.
The Fabian Nicieza one.
Yeah, I think that was it. Like, there's a point when he's cured, and then he's turned blue, and they're kind of like, it's like this kind of odd couple one. That was like when I kind of liked the character. Now it's impossible for me to read anything with him because they just threw him everywhere. He's basically Wolverine 2.
Oh, now I remember. It was Uncanny X-Force.
Oh yeah, he's good in that.
I forgot who was the writer on that.
Rick Remender.
Yeah, I really liked the way he wrote Deadpool. And there was a special I forgot which issue it was, but he was doing a Robert Evans esque monologue, talking about getting money to fund a movie. And then I started checking out the Jerry Duggan stuff.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the joke about him feeding Angel his meat. When Deadpool is doing that joke and he he's telling Angel some story and then he's like, "Hey man," and Angel's like, "Oh man, thanks for giving me some food, man." And he's like, "What is this?" And they blow it back up and it's him cutting off part of his arm to feed him.
Oh my god, I've never read that. That's really funny.
Yeah, I think that's issue 1.
That's such a ridiculous, but that's a good idea. Because they always joke about that, or not even joke, they have reference that Wolverine has done that to himself before. So
he's done that in AVX when he gets kicked out of the helicarrier over Antarctica and he has to trek across the Arctic. He just starts cutting himself little slivers of jerky. Starts walking across.
I googled Deadpool F and then it autocorrect to feeding Archangel.
Oh man.
Has anyone? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I put the image in the thing.
I was gonna ask, did anyone catch up on Uncanny X-Men? Because Immortal Hulk's actually in this story, which it's actually a very good story.
Oh god, I got 12 issues of Uncanny X-Men that I need to read.
Have you guys been noticing that X-Men's making a comeback? There was a book today, I think it was X-Force, or was it? I'm not sure which issues. I have a log. But they're coming back finally.
Yeah. Well, X-Man has been changed everything, and they're stuck in a world where X-Man's a messiah, and he doesn't want people to have sex and have familiar relationships.
I thought they were done with Nate.
No,
they have the Age of X-Men. There's a couple of books.
Yeah, that's the one I was reading. When he just basically just imprisons Apocalypse and just has him on an X the entire time.
Yeah.
And then we talked about last week how they're setting up for the was it Age of X?
House of X.
House of X, and it's 2 titles, wasn't it? It was I thought it was it's House of X, and I thought it was something else.
Yeah, they're 2 books.
Powers of X or something.
Powers of X, yeah, where it's Xavier's version of House of M.
I wonder how they're gonna do that because Magneto's was not that did not go so well.
I mean, House of M worked out pretty well for a lot of people until people started waking up.
I don't know. The Fantastic Four did not have a good time with that whole situation.
Spider-Man went crazy.
Yeah, Spider-Man was bald. I don't Did they ever explain why he was bald or
I guess because he's a wrestler.
Was that it? I thought it was because
I think he went insane. He went insane and became the Green Goblin.
The less mention of Spider-Man, he blackmails Magneto and he's just living on the run, in an RV in the woods.
Oh, I don't know.
Because his spider sense wakes him up before anyone.
Yeah, I remember that's why he's kind of going schizophrenic, but it's because of his spider sense.
Yeah,
he knows that this is wrong.
There was a book today. I'm not sure what it was. I just saw it was one of those previews. It was just about Scarlet Witch, but I'm not gonna go into what happened because I'm pretty sure everyone has it on their log to read. But I can't even get into it without basically just giving it away. So I just have to pass on that for the moment.
Okay. I kind of have a character for our question, but I actually was not really ever a fan of Green Arrow, kind of until the TV show. I always saw him as kind of a douchey, lame version of Batman. Because I always thought of him as being the boxing glove arrow guy with all the trick arrows, and him being this kind of lame, I always thought of him as a surfer bro.
It was the beard, wasn't it? It was
the
facial hair.
The beard and the blonde hair. And until the show came out, I never really gave the character much of a chance. And then when the show came out, and then the kind of second reboot in New 52 kind of gave me a new look at that character. And then I started reading a bunch of his old stuff, and now he's probably one of my favorite characters. And I'm annoyed that his book got canceled.
Wait, which? He got rebooted a bunch, 3 times during New 52.
I really liked the reboot in New 52 with
because there was Keith Giffen and Dan Jurgens,
The one I like is the one where Emiko is like created.
Yeah, that's third reboot with Lemire and Sorrentino.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought it was the second one, but okay, yeah, it's the one where with the
different
factions. Clans. Yeah, that involves like katana and stuff. Yeah, I really like that story, and I liked the story they did like a little while ago is what they're doing on the TV show right now. Like the plot from like 6 months ago or like last year is what the show is currently going with. So that's interesting. Like a version of it, kind of. With the, oh my god, I can't remember what the hell the name of the group is. Is it the Inferno? It's something to do with, like, hell. But, yeah, he's a character I never really liked until...
Oh, the Ninth Circle.
Yes, the Ninth Circle. Yeah, that's getting brought into the show, which that was a story like a year ago. So that was a character I never really liked that I kind of did a 180 on. There's been much more characters where I went the other way, and it's basically because of, like, bad writing teams.
The Ninth Circle is actually... That's actually been this entire run with Rebirth.
Yeah.
Has been dealing with the Ninth Circle.
Yeah. Did any of you, John or Ryan, did you have, like, any characters that fit into this? Or, like, vice versa? Like, characters that you really liked and then you completely, like, turned around on?
As a kid, I did not like Cyclops. I kind of like Cyclops now.
Cyclops did nothing wrong. Everyone gives like everyone puts down Cyclops. Like, leave him alone.
I think Cyclops like kind of sucks in the cartoon because, you know, everyone in the series kind of has a thing. You know,
his thing is the teacher's pet.
And his thing is to be Leonardo, who's the worst turtle. It's like he's the leader. That's his defining character trait. He's the guy who thinks he's in charge. He tries to keep people in line. That's why like you like Raph or Donatello or Michelangelo a lot more than Leonardo. The only time someone says their favorite turtle is Leonardo is someone who's like, you know, someone who like wants to be the center of attention or the teacher's pet or something, you know. And I think like when you like saw that team, it's like there's Jubilee, there's Rogue, there's Gambit, there's Bishop, there's Beast. There's like so many other characters who are like way
there's
cooler.
Morph.
No, Morph's only there for a little while.
Morph sucks. I'm sorry. Like Cyclops is better than Morph.
Morph's only there for the first episode, and then he comes back like way later on
with like PTSD.
Yeah, and Morph has that like really annoying voice. He sounds like a goblin.
Yeah, he's he is. You would think he would just change his voice, like at least like do that.
Well, because he's like shittier Mystique.
I mean, to be honest,
he's better. He takes their powers.
Like, I kind of didn't like Cyclops until he started dating Emma. And that's not to say, like, I don't like Jean or, like, the relationship of Jean and Scott. But I think the dynamic of the relationship between him and Emma is, like, really kind of interesting and weird. And, like, and that, like, Emma is the total top in the relationship. And and it's, like, it's, like, a very sweet relationship. Like, how these two kind of love each other. And it's great. Like, I love it.
They've done some, like, dirty stuff with their relationship, though. Because I think at one point, didn't they reveal that they were, like, having a psychic affair before Jean died?
Well, yeah, and that was like a Morrison thing, and that's kind of like where that relationship started.
Yeah.
And that stuff is like cool. I mean, you know, cheating on your significant other, it's not cool, you guys. Like, don't do that. But like the stuff they did with it was really cool. And then like the like kind of like picking up where Morrison left off was the Joss Whedon X-Men stuff, which was like kind of the book where I was like, oh, like Scott can be like a really cool character. Like there's that scene where all of the Sentinels are on the lawn of the Xavier Institute, and Scott like basically pulls off his visor, and you turn the page, and it's just blind. It's a 2-page spread of red, and then you turn the page again, and all the Sentinels are gone, and Wolverine's like, you know, sometimes I forget why you're the leader of the X-Men, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
There was
they've done him dirty in like a lot of instances, especially like the movies. Like,
yeah, because
they killed him off screen.
Yeah.
Time to do Superman.
But I think
that was
like
a bad career choice.
But I think that's also just because he's like the hardest X-Men to write. Because you know,
he's kind of 2-dimensional unless you have a really good writer.
Or it's like his. I mean, even the stuff with like him and Emma, it's like his importance in the story is based upon the relationships of the people within the team. It's like, you know, him and Wolverine, or him and Professor X, or him and Jean, or him and Emma.
Because he's a character, he's an orphan, and he's basically been raised. Like, he has like this he's always this kind of dependent character. So like Xavier's his surrogate father. Wolverine is like his brother isn't the right word, but they're like rivals.
His romantic rival.
Yeah.
Which I am not into that Jean Wolverine ship. That is no bueno for me. I hate that ship.
There was a panel on like one of the recent books of like future Cyclops talking to past Cyclops, and he's like, just advice, just stay away from blondes and redheads. You'll make your life much easier. And then like the next panel, it's just I can't even say it. It's more like him just like not listening, and just it was basically the Emma affair beginning, essentially.
Yeah, well, and so Greg Rucka did that 12-issue Cyclops mini with like Russell Dodderman, and that book was super cool because that was like teenage Cyclops going to space with his dad, who's a space pirate, by the way.
Oh, Corsair,
and who has like a hot skunk like girlfriend. And
that sounds all sorts of weird.
Oh yeah, that
she's sounds cool. Like a Tumblr site.
God, I'm gonna look up her name real fast. I forgot who her name is, but yeah,
oh man,
she's cool. She's like a cool badger lady. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, you just remind me because I had all of these toys because that was the one thing that 90s show did was they had them in tons of outfits and they put out 1 billion toys.
But yeah, like the comic is basically Teen Cyclops going to space with his dad and the Starjammers, and real good father-son stuff happening.
Yeah, Ryan, did you have anybody? I thought of like one other character, but did you have anybody?
Yeah. In the beginning, I did not like Superman for like the longest time, and now I can tolerate him. Like, just barely. He always came. I think I had the same like mentality as like what Batman would have towards him. Just like he's like either too good or just like he just seems pompous.
Yeah, I've never been a big Superman fan. It's mostly because I find the best stories with that character are when it's not involving Superman. When it's like in a Clark Kent story when he's just being a journalist, or when it's kind of him having to deal with his humanity and lack thereof.
Yeah, all the new some of the new books are actually really well written. I just think like back then there was not really there was a few, but not like really a good like Superman consistent art like storyteller, and it just got like kind of like bland and like somehow unbearable at some points.
He's too goody, and I don't know. To me, it's always that like. He's like the opposite of Batman in like every way. Like the city is the opposite. It's all bright and shiny. Like everything is bright and in the daylight. And I don't know. I've never been a Superman fan.
I did like the spin-offs like Red Sun or all the other ones. Yeah, Elseworlds.
You know, at some point, like I really need to maybe like the DC app is like kind of like way I should probably do this, but like read those John Byrne and those Dan Jurgens Man of Steel and Superman comics because I've heard that stuff is like really good.
They don't have Man of Steel miniseries on there.
Well, that's pretty lame. But like the idea that. Like, because I think it's like the eternal struggle of growing up and you're a Batman fan and you're like, yeah, Superman sucks because he's not Batman. Because you're watching like the animated series or you're watching the movies and then you like watch the Superman movie and you're like, oh, this is old. Like, what is Superman? Like
See, growing up with that Batman show, I was like, I like the Superman show a lot, and I like the first 2 Superman movies. I just never liked him in the comics.
Like you don't like him as a person, essentially. Like the movies and all that stuff. Yeah, he's either gonna be like the most OP character of all time, but when he's a person, he's just bland.
He's so straight laced that he's not entertaining to me. Like I like Batman because he's fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah, like even in movies, there's like drunk Ben Affleck just like walking around smacking a tire with a hammer. Like, give me something.
But so for me, like it wasn't until because the animated series is good and like his role in Justice League is also like pretty good. But for me, like I didn't kind of get into Superman as a comic character until I read Action Comics 775 by Joe Kelly and Doug Mahnke. And it was called "What's So Funny About Choose Justice the American Way," and it was like a one shot. And it's like a one shot story where. It's Joe Kelly basically doing a rift on The Authority, which was a comic that Wildstorm was producing that was basically a a grittier, more like quote realistic version of the Justice League, where they would kill their villains and they were, more realistic in that sense. And so Joe Kelly creates this character named Manchester Black in the Elite, who I love. Like, Manchester Black, I think, is great. But the idea that they're like this authority riff, and Superman's like questioning like what his place is in a early 2000s world. And the end, and like the last slide, or like the last big quote from Superman at the end of that comic is like, "Oh, perfect! I get Superman." And then I read Grant Morrison's All Star Superman. And I'm like, "Oh, this is the best. This is everything I kind of wanted out Superman."
Those two things are amazing. It's Grant Morrison, and like that book is famous. The other one you're talking about, they made it into an animated movie, which is pretty good. And I like Manchester Black. He's currently in Supergirl. I like what they're doing with him, and the entire. I think they're building the authority in that, because they had. What is her name? The Venom ripoff. Well, it's like a Venom satire character. Menagerie, yeah.
They actually did the What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way.
On Supergirl.
Yeah.
Oh, is the hat in Supergirl too?
I am not caught up, but they had Manchester Black and is it Menage or
Menagerie?
Menagerie, yeah. So like they had her, and then that was like the last episode. I'm like 3 or 4 behind.
The Hat is my favorite member of the Elite.
I remember him. In the animated thing, he's like a Chinese guy.
And he's an Asian magician, yeah.
Yes.
And he pulls whatever he wants out of his hat.
Oh, he's got like the what do they call it? He's got like the Hermione's bag in Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
An endless bag, yeah.
Yeah, what do they call it in D&D?
A bag of
holding.
Yeah, a bag of holding. The endless bag of holding is like basically what it is. And if you're playing D&D and you have one of those, you just turn it inside out and you just like area suicide everything around you.
But like Mark Waid did like a run on Superman called Birthright that I hear was really good. Like Jeff Johns, I think Jeff Johns is like kind of underrated as a Superman writer, because he did that stuff with Richard Donner that was really good, and that Bizarro World story with Eric Powell that was really good, and that really cool origin of Brainiac story.
Yeah, I'm not like, I think there are stories of Superman that are really amazing. I think that you could say that for like almost any character. I feel like in general, I have always found him to be kind of I feel like he is a harder character for people to nail, like writing wise, because he's such a 2-dimensional character, because he's so OP, and he's, the Blue Boy Scout.
Yeah. Zack Snyder's take on Superman is every like a bulleted point of everyone's problem when they write Superman.
Yes, exactly. But I think we can close out. We've been going for quite a while, so we can do like a quick round of plugs. Ryan, as it's your first time, do you want to, I don't know, give your Twitter or Instagram?
Not really.
All right. Don't follow Ryan anywhere.
Yeah, you'll know me from the weird.
You're in the Phantom Zone. We're posting funny pictures all the time.
Yeah.
So, John?
You could follow me at John, JOHN _ FN _ Seiler, SEILER. This week I'll probably be posting about seeing Shazam, maybe Pet Sematary, definitely like NXT, and WrestleMania, because it's WrestleMania weekend.
I did not know that.
And then, whatever stuff that we announce for our games and our books. Oh, yeah, we're announcing a book on Friday that I just did the write-up for today. And I also came up with the title of the book. I'm super proud of the title I came up with, and I hope everyone loves it.
All right.
That's at faku.net. fakku.net. Don't go to it unless you're over
NSFW.
18. Yeah.
All right. You'll definitely have to let me know. I want to see this title that you created.
Yeah.
All right. And then you can catch me and Alan. We do on every Tuesday on this stream. We have Smallville Chronicles. We are rewatching Smallville. The last one we just dropped today actually has someone who's currently on Flash in her first episode on Smallville. And she's going to be recurring on Flash. And then every other Thursday, we have Legion of Tunes as part of the Los Horror Podcast Network. John is on there. Ryan's been on there. Alan's on there all the time. So we have that. Our next episode is my pick, which is Undergrads, which I'm sure we will have lots to talk about.
I'm watching the last episode right after we're done.
Yeah, that's the only episode I have left to watch. And then, Al, you have another podcast on Los Horror Gaming.
Yeah, Let's Horror Games podcast, where myself, Tim Watkins Jr., and a rotating get a third spot because Hunter has, well, an eventful life. So we had Graydon on to talk about the Borderlands 3 announcement.
I am super excited for that game.
We also talked about PAX as Graydon went there. So
Nice.
Oh, I spent about 30 to 45 minutes talking about LB19 and why it's the best in the series. And I kept making baseball puns.
Was it nobody getting what you were saying?
No, everyone was trying. They're both Graydon and Emma were trying to say them, but they kept flubbing. So
it's definitely I ordered
expect it to hear things like it's in a league of its own.
Oh man, so Gina Davis.
And I made a reference towards towards Field of Dreams.
Oh, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
All right. But I think that does it for us, guys. So we will catch you guys next week. Adios.
Catch you on the flip side.
There is no way out of here. That is the point of the Phantom Zone.